Got a new chair. Got to get used to it. It's much smaller, so we use this for dinner usually, but we had to move it. But hey, that's it for enough of that. This is a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. It is 11:41 p.m. here on November 11th. Still the last remnants of Veterans Day. We salute you, veterans. By the way, Veterans Day is for those who have served and I think have served. Yes, they're for veterans, have served and have died. But it's not just a celebration of the ones who died, it's the ones who served. Armed Forces Day is for the ones who are serving now. Memorial Day is for those who died. So try to get that right. Apparently GOP government people who are supposed to know this stuff don't know the difference between any of these. But it doesn't matter because they're suffering from a major headache at the polls this week. So that was a good thing. The Marvels came out. Marvels and the MCU's last Marvel project movie came out for this year. And despite all of the misogyny, racism, sexism, and just despicable people either claiming, that it's terrible and then having Schadenfreude when it's not making as much money as everybody else, every other Marvel movie. They're just ignore the noise. It's a brilliant movie. I'll give you my full spoiler review of the film a little bit later on. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire got their first trailer out this week. I'll see what that's going to be all about. My new girl, Sarah Michelle Gellar's always been my girl, but my new girl is Anne Hathaway. Her birthday is tomorrow, the 12th of November. So we'll wish her an early birthday. Happy birthday to that. What else is going on? It was Geeked Week at Netflix. So lots of trailers released from Netflix. And the big, big, big news of the week, the SAG-AFTRA strike has been resolved. Actors are back to work for at least the next 3 years. So as soon as that happened, projects have just started getting boom, 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 starting up. So we've got a whole bunch of, updated dates and so on and so forth, what's going to be happening and so on and so forth. So we got that going on. And it is November 11th, but, Christmas is still, prevalent. So there's lots of Christmas stories in here. There's some Thanksgiving stuff. And, so, and then, of course, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelcie, who is my new favorite stan couple. We finally get the first actual passionate kisses between the two. It is the Chiefs bye week, so Travis has flown down to Argentina, where Taylor is doing her Eras tour, and there was video release of her leaving the stage and then running into Travis's arms, who's out there, and just them making out backstage as they walk off. So good for them. I'm proud of them as well. This is Mr. Blue Sky, episode 526, because of all the goodness. Now, everything wasn't good. I always like to start, for those who might not have watched the show before, I like to start with some personal stuff. My father-in-law, I guess on Monday or Tuesday, had a drop in blood pressure, and my mother-in-law took him to the hospital. Turned out he was just dehydrated, and they got fluids in him, and he was not hospitalized. He was given fluids. His blood pressure was checked periodically, and it was going right back up, and it was strong, and they kept it steady, and so they sent him home, and we haven't heard anything since from then, so it must be in pretty good shape. Also, my mom has decided that she wants to do Thanksgiving with my in-laws this year. She's been invited. She's always been invited, but she's always not wanting to go. But it's great to see that she does want to go. So hooray for that. So that's good on that. It is Veterans Day, as I said. I have a bunch of veterans in my family, my cousin-in-law, both of which have served in wars and the Gulf Wars from the early 2000s. They are both now done with their service. They have fulfilled their service requirements for the Naval Academy, and they are now civilians for the most part, doing civilian stuff. So that's good for them. So I do have veterans in my family. And as I said, Anne Hathaway's birthday will be on Sunday the 12th. The Ravens, my team, they annihilated another NFC division leader in the Seattle Seahawks, 37-3 last week. And this week, the Ravens are getting lots and lots of love, which always scares me a little bit, as we're entering a really tough stretch here where they play 2 games in let's see, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in like 5 days. We have tomorrow's game against our division rivals, the Browns, and we also have a game on Thursday night both at home against our division rivals, the Bengals. Both of which the Thursday night game is the first of multiple national games we'll be having. So big games for the Ravens coming up. University of Maryland football team had their usual annual falling apart. They start off hot and then they lose a whole bunch in a row, and they finally won again today, which made them bowl eligible for the 3rd year in a row. So that's good for them. So let's continue with the big news of the week. First up, the SAG-AFTRA strike has been resolved, 3-year deal. As I said, it's a pretty big deal, and once it was resolved and voted on, everything like that, everyone's been getting back to work, and I said you'll be hearing more about all the upcoming productions and stuff like that that have started getting kickstarted on here. So now's the hard part for the distribution companies, is they now have to figure out how they're going to do stuff, because there's one movie that Blake Lively was working on before, or getting ready to work on, or no, was working on before it all this went to heck, but she has been contracted to do another film during that time, but we don't know if they're going to let her finish this one first and then do this other one or what, not sure. So that's something like that. They've also got the Disney's had to rearrange some Marvel stuff again, which is fine. I really think Thanksgiving week, since I have a 4-day weekend, I think I'm going to sit down and do a why are you so mad at the MCU and do a ranking of stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about the MCU because just the utter hate I saw for the Marvels, which came out on Friday, which is technically Captain Marvel 2. And it all stems from people hating Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I've hated her since the first one, despite it making $1 billion. They still hated her. And they always complain about her and not being able to emote. She won a fucking Oscar, you tools. And that's one thing. It was directed by a woman, a black woman, actually. So that is another racist, sexist thing. One of the main characters is a Muslim, and that's a racist aspect that people are hating on the show. And the other lead is a female black woman, all of whom are showing power. And the main villain is also a woman. Actually, it's interesting. It's Tom Hiddleston's fiance. Tom Hiddleston's Loki season 2 finale happened the same day as the release of the Marvels. So it's kind of interesting to see that. But I don't understand. I mean, I understand where it's coming from. The hate. A lot of it, as I talked about before, is that the hatred of Disney for whatever reason. The MCU is so hugely popular, and now the cool thing is that now that it's not getting as much due to COVID and changes in the behind the scenes stuff and stuff like that, the people are just dropping the movies and just complaining about them. They hated Ant-Man 3. I enjoyed Ant-Man 3 immensely. Again, I can understand maybe why they would hate it. They hated on this one. They all seem to like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I guess. But it's a lot of it has to do with the asshole Snyder Bros who started this whole thing, because they're misogynistic, racist, sexist assholes. And on top of that, a lot of websites, CBR, Joe Blow, IGN, stuff like that, they've got staff members who absolutely despise and are sexist, misogynistic assholes also. So they write these hit pieces. Variety wrote a hit piece about the Marvel universe as well, and the Marvels in it. The one thing that really set me off was Joe Blow, which was a website that I had a lot of, I liked a lot, but now one of the people on staff is turning me off a little bit of that website. His only job was to talk about how the Marvels is tanking. It's going to be the lowest grossing Marvel movie of all time, blah, blah, blah. Only going to make like $50 million in its first week, which is still pretty damn impressive, you dumb shitheads. But hey, it's not $100-200 million that, the Avengers and all that have made, but it's still a fairly impressive opening, you dickwads. But you're just like, oh, it's the end of Marvel. Marvel sucks ass. And this dude said, so his only job was writing this article was talking about the tanking of the Marvels and blaming it on the fact that, it had characters that he had no interest, Miss Marvel, didn't even want to watch her show. And so had no interest in seeing her on the big screen. Obviously, racist, anti-Muslim, misogynistic asshole. And then he just said, the only thing I saw was the trailers and it looked ridiculous, looked like another stupid Marvel movie. He didn't even see the fucking movie, talking about how bad it is. And he really has no idea. And then Rotten Tomatoes, because you can't even trust them either, they're allowing all these fucking bomb critical things as well. But luckily, the Marvels is actually fresh. It's at 64% and rising with the good rate. So the critics seem to like it a little bit more. And the cinema score, which is the one of people leaving the cinema, gave an 86%, which is still pretty damn good. Also, it's a good movie. I can understand why it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but this guy writing a whole article, hit piece about the Marvels only by seeing the trailer and refusing to even watch the Miss Marvel TV show or this movie. Look, if you don't want to watch them, you don't have to, but you shouldn't be writing articles about it unless you actually see the stuff you're talking about. And then he's like, well, at least Marvel's got good stuff coming up, in the horizon. Deadpool 3, all male cast for the most part, and characters that he recognizes and have had movies before. The Fantastic Four has pretty much all male characters except for one female character, and has had multiple movies as well. What was the other one he said? Blade again has had a male lead and has had multiple movies, so he knows it and the TV shows and stuff like that, so he knows those characters. And the X-Men will be great. Yes, X-Men have lots of female characters, but he only knows it because it's so popular. So he only likes stuff that is male-led and is hugely popular and doesn't even want to consider giving a chance to anything else, which is your right. But again, as I said, you shouldn't be writing articles if you're not going to look at the pieces that you're writing about. So Joe Blow, I've lost a lot of credibility with you. And just all these articles, hit articles, just enjoying the fact that the Marvels is tanking and so on and so forth, because there's that whole Disney backlash, stuff like that. And again, I thought Ant-Man 3 was a great movie. I think this Marvels is a great movie also. And that's just my opinion. I'm a fan of the stuff. I've seen the stuff. I know the things, but just all the constant hate, particularly for this movie, is just absolutely making me pissed off and is bringing me down from a really good mood. I'll get to the review in a second. Another thing that's been bringing me down a little bit was I was really upset at the beginning and Tuesday. I was just having a bad day, and then started getting all the results from election days from across the country where, the Democrats have been absolutely annihilating the maggot asshole GOPers, including Virginia, who has a maggot governor who said if he was regained both houses, he was going to put an abortion ban. He lost both houses. So now he's a Republican governor with a Democratic Senate and Democratic House of Representatives, so he's not going to get any shit done. Ohio had a bill that enshrined abortion rights into their constitution, but the Ohio lawmakers who wanted it to fail are now not going to abide by the results, even though that's what the voters voted on. The majority of voters voted on. This isn't one where, well, what about the people who lost? They lost. They don't get to win if you lose. That's the whole point of it. If that was the whole point of it, then Hillary Clinton should be president because Donald Trump beat her. Are you going to go that far? Of course you're not, because you're a fucking Trumper, maggot shitface. And, teams that don't win their games, the losers, become the winners? I don't think so. That's not how it works. It's not how any of this works. You people lost. The people who voted for it lost. They have to deal with it. You can't give them what they want because they lost. They did not have the majority. They had the minority vote. The majority wanted this in the Constitution, and you, Ohio State people, said you would abide by what's in the Constitution, and now you're trying to cancel that? You're pieces of shit is what you are. Pennsylvania, on their Supreme Court, there was a maggot guy who was trying to get to the seat there. And if he would have done that, he would have overturned the election in Pennsylvania in 2024 if it didn't go towards the GOP front runner. If it went to Biden, he would overturn it and that would cause all kinds of problems. And the Supreme Court would back him up in that. That didn't happen. Democrats took that over. So Democrats now have that. So now you have that extra added protection with the election. So the Pennsylvania cannot overturn the election. So we have that. And there was just the Moms for Liberty, the Nazi moms who are going and banning books and going after trans children and gay children, stuff like that. They had all these seats on school boards. The majority, about 90% of them, lost their seats. And then they put an ad out trumpeting how good that they've been doing, with 10% of the people winning their elections when 90% of the people who were running did not. Plus all the people they were backing all lost their elections also. So it's giving me good hope. But then there's just all kinds of stuff with that. Ohio's government is not abiding by it. And there are other things at play, which are still, reading Twitter on a Saturday morning absolutely brought me back down. But for a while there, I was flying high because it was outstanding. So we'll see what happens. But that gave me a little bit more of a better feel for 2024, because it looks more and more like, the Democrats should be able to sweep most of that stuff and do really well and reclaim the House and the Senate. So we'll see what happens. But right now I was in a good spot, but now I'm starting to lose it a little bit. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is Ghostbusters Afterlife, Ghostbusters Firehouse, whatever you want to call it. It is now called Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. The first trailer for the sequel came out this week. It has a terrifying villain. You just get a couple of views of the cast members, and it looks like the original cast will be back again in this one. I don't know for how long, but they have appearances in the trailer as well. So it was an entertaining trailer on that end. As part of their Geeked Week, Netflix revealed the first trailer for the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action show, and a date, February 22nd is when that'll come out. Trailer looks pretty awesome. They also had the first trailer for the live action Yu Yu Hakusho. That's due out December 14th. And I didn't know about this. There's a Terminator anime that'll be released by Netflix on 2024. It was just an announcement about it coming. No real look at what it's going to be about, but basically it looks like it's going to be set 2 days before Skynet takes over. So we'll see what happens with that. So it looks kind of interesting. So from this point on, well, this point for the next 10 minutes or so, I will be doing a spoiler-filled review of the Marvels. First and foremost, you need to go see this movie. Go out the movie theaters and just go see it. It's an hour, 45 minutes out of a day. It's one of the quickest Marvel movies out there. It's a lot of fun. And it should be making more money than it is. But we have all these haters and stuff like that. Ignore the noise. But from this point on, I'm going to give a spoiler-filled review. So next time I drink from this, after this time, will be when I'm be done. So if you want to fast forward, don't listen to it. If you want to mute me, you can. But when you see me drink again, I'm drinking now. When you see me drink again, that means that you can come back and start listening to the show again. The spoilers are done. So real quick, we get at the beginning of the movie just sort of a refresher course of we get the first shot of who the villain is this woman named Barwin, who is the new accuser for the Kree. She digs up a arm necklace very similar to Miss Marvel's and is wondering why there aren't two of them, because they're supposed to be a pair. And then it cuts to Miss Marvel. and we are introduced to her. For those who never watched the show, you get an idea of you are given a quick update of who this character is and what their relationship is to the Marvels. And then you get a fast forward to seeing Carol, as she's also a reintroduction to Carol, as well as she is in sleep, and she's using the scroll sort of device that helped her remember her memories, trying to get all her memories back that the Kree erased. And you see memories from the original Captain Marvel movie coming back, so you get a general idea. You can see, including how she got her powers, how she was tricked by the Kree, how she beat them, stuff like that. Goose is with her. The cat is with her. The Flurkin. And she's still in touch with Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, because he calls her and tells her there's some sort of disturbance in the transporting thing. When you go to light speed in the Marvel universe, this web of things happens and you shoot through them. There's a weird sort of thing happening with that, and he wants Captain Marvel to investigate. And then Monica Rambeau, who we also get a quick introduction to just with her light powers. We don't know who she is right away. We get her history a little later. But for those who saw WandaVision, you know who she is. She's working with Fury, and she's also going to investigate these weird things as well. And when she touches one of the disturbing portal things at the same time as Carol, and Miss Marvel puts on the necklace, they are intertwined in a quantum entanglement. So whenever one of them uses their powers, they get transported. So if Miss Marvel used her powers, then Captain Marvel goes there. If Captain Marvel uses her powers, then Monica goes to where she is, and then Miss Marvel goes to where Monica is. So, and that sort of all happens. And that's a little bit of it. We get introduced to Miss Marvel's family and the craziness that happens with that. And then we discover that the Kree have been trying to do a peace treaty with the Skrulls, who are on a planet finally that they have called their own. And the Kree are saying that they need, they want to do this peace treaty, but there's a situation because we learned that there was a civil war on Kree's homeworld, Hala, and their star burned out. And there's like darkness and famine and death and stuff like that. And so Barwin, or whatever the character's name is, has come up with a plan using the what do you call that, bracelet and the Ronin hammer to open a portal for this transporter thing. And in the case of the Skrull, she's like saying, I'm going to tell you have to leave this planet because I'm going to steal your atmosphere. And so she starts stealing the atmosphere, and then Carol and all of them discover about, so they try to stop them from doing that, but then they have to evacuate the Skrulls. And then we learn also that Carol was the reason for the Civil War, because as she said she was going to go after the Kree, she went after the Supreme Intelligence and destroyed it, which caused the Civil War and all that stuff to happen. So now Barwin is going in to destroy everything that Carol loved, including the Skrulls, who she took there. Now, Carol's only able, with the help of Miss Marvel and Monica, are able to save only a portion of the people of the Skrull things. A lot of them were killed as the atmosphere gets sucked away and stuff collapses on them. But the Emperor, who's ruling them right now, stuff like that, and a bunch of people, they get angry with Miss Marvel because they lost, with Captain Marvel because they lost another planet. And so Captain Marvel calls Valkyrie. Yes, Tessa Thompson shows up, calls Valkyrie and has her take them to New Asgard as their new home. And so they go with her as Carol tries to figure out what's going on. So then they so Carol starts explaining to Miss Marvel and Monica all the stuff that's going on, why Barwin is doing all this stuff, and so on and so forth. And they eventually figure out that she's going to steal like all the natural resources from stuff that's connected to Carol because she's pissed at her. So she's going to a 90% water planet where we learn that Carol is a princess married to the prince in a marriage of convenience. And the alien race only communicates through song, which is one of the first pieces why the racist shitbags don't like the movies because, hey, there's a musical breaks out in the middle of it. But when you're trying to, create different alien races, stuff like that, that's one of the things you need to do, is create something that's different than just being normal humanoid looking aliens. Meanwhile, while this is happening, Goose has been delivered to the Saber satellite, which is where Fury is, and so has Miss Marvel's family. They've been delivered there because of the situation where the Kree were attacking their house during this big, cool fight scene where all of them were jumping in between their characters and powers and stuff like that. And weird things start happening on board the space station. They don't know why that is. So that's the B story. So we go back. So they go to this water planet. They get there before Barwin does, and we find out, everything that happened. And they're going to start stealing the water for it. So they're ready for her when she gets there. So they attack and have a big fight sequence there, but fail again. And the water gets taken away and delivered to Hala. So Hala now has atmosphere and water. Now they need a sun. And so she's gonna go to our sun and steal our sun and deliver it to Hala. So Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica have to save the day with that. So while that's happening, the Saber satellite starts losing power. And we learn that Goose has been laying eggs and other baby flurkins have been popping up. And so they have to evacuate while this battle's going on between the Kree and Captain Marvel and the Marvels. And they have to use the flurkins to swallow people up and then transport the flurkins. It's easier to transport a bunch of kittens than a bunch of people down to the surface of Earth, and then they will vomit them back up, because we've seen that happen, that whenever they get eaten, they're not fully digested by the flurkins. So they use that plan to do that. And so they soon discover, Miss Marvel discovers the other bracelet and discovers that it needs to be a pair. They're called the quantum bands, which is what Quasar uses. And Barwin tries to steal it from her, and the three of them work to fight each other. But Barwin has opened up she's able to get the best of Miss Marvel and steals the other one. And then she bangs them together and opens up a hole in the multiverse in currents that we learned about in Doctor Strange 2 that was going to suck the sun out of that. No, what was supposed to suck the sun out of that, but it ended up opening this other dimensional thing. So Monica discovers that if she can, she might be, if she uses the bracelet, she could probably be able to suck the power up and close this thing. And so she gets trapped in the incurrence, and Miss Marvel gets both of the quantum bands back again. So Monica is trapped in this alternate dimension, and Barwin has been destroyed by the force of the power of the two things coming together, but they end up succeeding. And then Carol ends up moving into Monica's house and to keep it there until Monica comes back in Louisiana. And then Miss Marvel decides that they need more heroes, so she was able to take a I drank. I'm still talking. Sorry, I wasn't done yet. I completely forgot that I did that. So once I drink again, then you turn it back off. So I'm sorry, I'm still doing my spoiler review. Sorry about that. I forgot. So Miss Marvel was given a like iPad sort of thing, which had readouts of all the heroes in the Marvel universe, and she's using that and decides that it's time to create a new Avengers team. So the first person she visits is Kate Bishop, and we see Haley Steinfeld reprising her role as Kate Bishop. We see Pizza Dog, and we have Miss Marvel doing the whole Nick Fury spiel about the Avengers initiative and stuff like that to try to convince Kate Bishop to join her. But it's not done it's not word for word. It's the way Miss Marvel does it, which is great, and that's where the movie ends. And then the mid-credit sequence, we discover Monica wakes up in a hospital and she sees her mom, who died of cancer. and calls her mom, and the one who's her mom is like, "Mom, I'm not your mom. What's going on? What are you talking about?" And we pull back and we see the Beast from X-Men, voiced by Kelsey Grammer. So it'd be the X-Men Last Stand version of it. She is being looked after by the X-Men, and her mom is now, what if her mom had gotten the Captain Marvel powers and not Carol? And now she is the character of Binary, and she's working with the X-Men. So it's just Beast and Binary talking to Monica about, where Beast discovers this occurrence, and that she's from another dimension and stuff like that, and that Charles wants to keep an eye on her, meaning Charles Xavier. So that's how it ends, and that's the mid-credit sequence and the end-credit sequence. So my takes on it, as I said, that was just a real brief. You need to go see it for yourself. It's a real quick movie. It moves along at a very quick pace. It's a lot of fun. I understand where the haters aren't going to like it. They don't like, there's the musical number, there's the Flurkin kittens, and all that, but it's still, it's not unusual. It's not out of place for the series, because they're like, oh, obviously you've never read a comic. Well, those stories have kind of appeared in the comics before. There have been Flurkin kittens before, and to create an alien species different than other species and having them break into song is kind of, and how and talk through song is actually a really neat idea. So the haters can just go fuck themselves, for that matter. It sets up Young Avengers, because we know Kate Bishop is a member of the Young Avengers. We know Cassie, Ant-Man's daughter, is a member of the Young Avengers, and she makes an appearance, and Miss Marvel even mentions her in that as well. We know there was a kid Loki popped up in the Loki TV show. The guy who, I forget his name, who was with in Captain America and the Falcon, the kid who was in that, who was with Isaiah, the 1950s Captain America. That's the kid from the Young Avengers. He's in there too. You just don't have a Hulkling, though you could probably make the case. You could probably throw Scar, Hulk's son from the She-Hulk movie, into that role instead of a regular Hulkling. That might be kind of an interesting aspect as well. And then you've got Wanda's two kids who also are involved with that sort of stuff as well. So you've got the basis for the Young Avengers. So seeing Miss Marvel talk to Kate Bishop and see her reprise her role and see that, sort of the wheels are turning on that is kind of cool. And then the incursion sequence with the Beast from X-Men Last Stand and Binary is more, to me, instead of a, hey, the X-Men are coming, this is who they're going to be, because this is the X-Men from the god-awful X-Men 3, The Last Stand. Kelsey Grammer was a very good voice for the Beast, by the way. I love that casting, but the movie itself is a shit show. And Binary wasn't even in that movie, but that's what they're going for. I don't think it's to say these are going to be your new X-Men. I think this is basically going to be a setup for Secret Wars, because if they're going to go what they're doing with the comics, with the movies, where Doctor Doom creates a battle world from using all these different dimensions, occurrences happening, where they take bits and pieces from all these universes that are getting destroyed in these occurrences and turn them into this big planet. You're going to have all these multiple versions of characters. So the X-Men one, where Monica is now, is probably going to be part of Secret Wars. That way you can get Monica into Secret Wars, as well as X-Men Last Stand characters as well. You can do that as well. And then once everything is said and done and everything goes back to normal, then you can lay the groundwork for the X-Men by using them, but you're not necessarily going to be continuing using them. It's going to be different characters and stuff like that, because of how Secret Wars ends. So I think that that's a setup for Secret Wars as well. So that's really cool. The camaraderie between the three women is really great. It's good to see these characters. The few issues I had, the quibbles I've had with it, are more along the lines of story stuff. We know that the planet that Skrulls were on, the Skrulls were moved to Earth. So this movie was supposed to come out before Secret Invasion, but due to COVID and timing, stuff like that, Secret Invasion came out first. But this basically kind of sets up Secret Invasion, because now we know why the Skrulls are on Earth, because they were, moved there from the planet they were supposed to be on. So that sort of makes sense about that, where that this comes before Secret Invasion. And then, so now you can go ahead and watch Secret Invasion, and it'll be a more linear continuation from this movie to that. Um, so that's not, but the one thing is, so we know what happens with that planet, but then what about the planet where she's a princess and her husband the prince, and the water planet? Did it take all the water from the planet, or just a small portion of it? Is that planet still okay? Are those people still alive? I want to know about that because Carol seemed to be nonchalant about it. So it was almost like I wish there just would have been a little sequence that she checked in on them, said, yeah, I checked in on them, they're doing fine, a little angry with me and a little less water, but they're live and they still have water, so on and so forth. I like to see something like that, just see that they were okay with that. That was kind of one of the quibbles I have. Also, during the sequences, I should say, where they're flipping between their powers, it's not like it seems like, sometimes they use their powers and they don't flip, and then they use them again and then they do flip, and then when they do flip, it always seems to be the same person. So Miss Marvel always seems to pop up when Captain Marvel uses her own. So it's like, well, it shouldn't have been more random than that. But then all of a sudden they throw Monica in there after Captain Marvel uses her powers. So it's not random. It's random, but it seems to be more, they have specific people that need to go to these certain places. So it seems like that they are always going back to that bit, instead of, she went to Captain Marvel the last time the powers were used, and then when they used the powers again, they went back to their normal lives. And when they used the powers again, they went back there where they should have gone to Monica or whatever. So the switching the powers just threw me for a little bit. But again, it's a cool sequences when they do that. And it's still very enjoyable. I didn't find the humor forced, as everyone seems to be saying. I did not find the humor overwhelming. Guardians of the Galaxy 2's humor was more overwhelming than this one was, and more forced than this one was. And Nick Fury really didn't have much to do except deal with the Flurkins. So I wish he might have had a little something more to do. Obviously, he might have been busy filming Secret Invasion, but still, it would have been nice to see a little bit more from him. And Monica's, I'm sorry, and Miss Marvel's family. Would have been nice to see more from them. And also the fact that Miss Marvel was still treated with kid gloves. I think it would have been neat to have her win some more fights and be a good in the fights. And she did okay, but I wish she would have done a lot more because she had a lot more experience involved with that. And it would have been nice to see her step up her game a little bit. But other than that, those are just quibbles. It did not lessen my enjoyment of the movie. It did not make me go, well, I can't watch this movie because of all these little mistakes or miscues or whatever. No, it's a fun movie. When I do my countdown, it'll probably be somewhere in the mid-range. Not one of my favorites, but it is by far not a terrible movie, despite what you hear. Ignore the noise. If you want to just go do something fun for a day, and it's not like, most Marvel movies are 2 hours, 45 minutes long. This one's a breezy 1 hour, 45 minutes. It's like a normal movie. You can be in and out in no time and enjoy it, and it'd be a lot of fun. And ignore all the misogynistic, racist, sexist shitheads and the Snyder bro assholes, and fuck all them and all their negative attitudes. If you don't like something, fine, but at least see the movie and make cases why it's terrible, because the humor is forced. Why was the humor forced? Why do you think the humor was forced? What parts of the humor was forced? Why do you think that is? Same with Ant-Man. Why do you think that stuff? What, you didn't like it when MODOK showed his butt? They did that in the cartoon, didn't they? You loved it then. Why didn't you like it in the live action movie? You didn't like the giant ants beating Kang in the movie? Fine. Fuck you then. Who cares? That's just how it goes. You probably didn't like the Ewoks either. So, it's just ridiculous. So go see the Marvels. I know you're not going to, and I know it's going to go down history as the least grossing Marvel movie of all time, and people are going to glean on that and say, see, nobody likes the women superheroes and nobody likes Brie Larson, she needs to be recast, blah blah. Brie Larson is fantastic in the movie. She emotes perfectly fine. She's a good actress. She won a fucking Oscar, you dumbass. And she's done other stuff since then that's gotten well received. And the hatred that people have for her is absolutely unwarranted. And, not everybody hated her. There were people that, didn't like working, might not have liked working with her. It doesn't mean that she's a terrible person, terrible actress, full on stuff. It's not like everybody in the world hates her. Samuel L. Jackson's worked with her like 5 or 6 times. He loves working with her. Tom Hiddleston said he loved working with her. John Goodman said he liked working with her, so it's just all a bunch of noise because they hate strong women and they hate Black women and they hate Muslim women and they hate movies where the men look almost incompetent and stuff like that, with Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury not doing anything except like cat sitting, and not like, kicking ass. There's some bits where he's using lasers and he kills a fucking couple Kree with a fucking laser gun. So he's still shows his badass side. But a lot of it is just you saw a trailer, said, I'm not going to see this, or I don't like this person, I don't want to go see it. That's fine. And the other thing also is that a lot of people, it's expensive to go out. They don't want to go to the movies anymore. They're still afraid for COVID. They know that it's going to be on Disney Plus, which is about 3 months, so they can wait till it's on Disney Plus so they can watch it themselves. And that's, I think, the biggest thing also. If it wasn't going to be on Disney Plus so quickly, then maybe they might go out to see it more often. But alas, we'll see what happens. It's a good movie. Go see the Marvels. And I'm done with that. Go see the Marvels. Speaking of James Gunn, his Superman, now that the SAG-AFTRA strike is over, Gunn went to the airwaves and said that his Superman Legacy movie, due to the help of all the people who were doing the pre-production during the whole strike bits and stuff like that, they will make their July 11th, 2025 date for release of the film. That means that they're going to start working on the film very quickly, and they will be making the date that they originally set up even before the strike happened. Captain America New World Order moves to February 14th, 2025. Here's another one. Black Captain America is now getting reshoots for stuff due to bad screening or whatever. So people are automatically saying, hey, Marvel sucks. This Captain America movie is going to suck because it's a black Captain America, isn't it? It's not Chris Evans. You hate black people. You're fucking racist pieces of shit. Reshoots are normal. It's not unusual to do reshoots. Same thing with Captain Marvel. They had reshoots on that as well. And also they still probably weren't quite done filming it when they went on strike. So it makes sense to move it to February 14th, 2025. The Thunderbolts then moves to July 25th, 2025. They have not even started working on that, but now they will. In order to get that date, they'll be able to hit that. Blade has now been moved to November 7th, 2025. So now 2025 is going to have 3 Marvel movies. And then the lone Marvel movie coming out in 2024, Deadpool 3, which was set to come out beginning of May, is now set to come out July 26th, 2024, because that was almost done filming when they went on strike. And they are immediately ramping up filming on that to do that as well. Again, just ignore the noise, ignore the haters. There's nothing wrong with Marvel. All these date changes is not unusual. It happens. Stuff like that happens. Things will even themselves out. I mean, hell, they're bringing out Echo in January, also 2024. So everybody was hating on that, and that's still coming out in January. And What If will still be out in December. So we've got some Marvel stuff coming up here. Elf's 20th anniversary was this week. And so that was one of the anniversaries for this week. I just wanted to hit that one first because I wanted to talk about the Elf Mrs. Butterworth syrup. So there is now Elf branded Mrs. Butterworth syrup. But instead of being Miss Butterworth, it is got Elf on it to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Elf movie. We got a behind-the-scenes sort of trailer of Devil May Cry, the animated show on Netflix as part of their Geeked Week. Another anime, another manga being turned into an anime by Netflix. Also for Geeked Week, from the Geeked Week this week, Millie Bobby Brown's medieval action film Damsel gets its first trailer with Robin Wright and Angela Bassett in the cast, which is an outstanding cast, by the way, and a wonderful poster which shows Millie Bobby Brown coming out of like a cave opening in a mountain with no way up or no way down, no way to escape. She's trapped in there. And we get more of that in the trailer, that she is like an upcoming princess, you know, and her mom, I guess, is Robin Wright, is the queen. And every princess has to go through a trial, and some survive and some don't. But if you do survive, you become much stronger. It's sort of a way to develop a strong rulership and stuff like that. So she basically gets trapped in this mountain and has to figure out a way to survive against medieval creatures that are in there and survive, and how to escape it. And as I said, the shot of her just peering out of this cave, and it's just a sheer wall that's hundreds and thousands of feet tall, is really cool. So it seems like it's gonna be a great movie. Will be out next year, 2024 sometime. They didn't have a date for it, but the first trailer was released, so I'm looking for probably something in the first quarter of 2024. Wouldn't be a bad idea to release it in March for Women's Month. It might be a good idea, so we'll see if they follow up with that. The Gyeonseong Creature is a Korean massive epic kaiju film that is so epic it had to be divided into two parts. We got a quick little teaser trailer, didn't really show anything, and a date of December 22nd as the first part of it, and then the second part is due out January 5th, 2024. I don't know much about that, and I guess that's a way to get people to get themselves intrigued about that. Also from Geeked Week, remember Netflix does Sandman, Neil Gaiman's Sandman, and Max, the other streaming service, decided to do a show called Dead Boy Detectives, which takes place in the Sandman universe. But Max decided they didn't want it anymore, so Netflix gobbled it up and is now going to make it part of the Sandman universe, because it is. So we got the first trailer for Dead Boy Detectives. That's also due sometime in 2024 as well. It looks pretty interesting. Check it out as well for Geeked Week. So that's kind of cool. See anything else for Geeked Week? Yes, Star Trek Prodigy. I told you that was on Paramount Plus, and they refused to do a second season of Star Trek Prodigy because they were underwhelmed by the first season. But there was a huge fan base, huge fan outcry, and hope that another streaming service would save it. And Netflix stepped in and said, we'll save it. We'll show some Star Trek. We need some more content. So Star Trek Prodigy will be getting a second season on Netflix. I talked about this on my show a few weeks ago when it was first announced. But now we have definitive proof because they are doing the second season. They want to get people who haven't watched it, didn't have Paramount Plus, to get involved and watch it. So they also gained the rights to have Prodigy Season 1. And so Star Trek Prodigy Season 1, which is already aired on Paramount Plus, will be airing on Netflix on Christmas Day. So if you wanted to see it but did not have Paramount Plus, and now that's on Netflix, you just have to wait till Christmas and watch it when you want to. And then Season 2 will come after that as well. So that was pretty cool as well. Let's see if there's anything else. Blood of Zeus Season 2 trailer, another anime that Netflix is involved with. Was released this week for Geeked Week. Comes out 2024 as well. Again, they don't have dates, but they know it's coming soon. And that's it for this page about Geeked Week stuff. The Church on Ruby Road is the name of the Doctor Who Christmas episode. Now, they haven't had a Doctor Who Christmas episode in a really long time. And the Doctor Who specials are going to be three. There's three of them. They're going to arrive 3 weeks, one after the other. So the first one's due out November 25th. The next one will be early December, and then the mid-December. And then this one, they just announced the name of it, is The Church on Ruby Road, will be the first Doctor Who Christmas special in a really long time, and should be starring the new Doctor Who, Gudigawa. That'll be good to see that. So we are going to be getting a Christmas episode of Doctor Who this year, and we have a name of it now, so we get a kind of idea of what's going on with that. So that's kind of a neat name for it as well. So that's good. Speaking of Doctor Who, now that Disney Plus has the rights to it, they're really going kind of crazy. I talked last week about a spinoff they're going to be doing where it's going to be anthology, where they're going to revisit other doctors and their companions, and hopefully bring back the original actors to portray them. In this case, though, they figured there was one doctor that needs a little bit more movement, a little bit more exposure, I should say. The Eighth Doctor, who was Doctor Who was released, that the Eighth Doctor showed up in America. It was a way in the, I think, the late 80s, early 90s, to try to get Doctor Who Americanized, and they were going to create their own Doctor Who series, starting with this guy as the Doctor. So they made a 2-hour movie, but it didn't go anywhere. So BBC decided, instead of just making being a completely separate Doctor Who, they folded it into their saga and made him the Eighth Doctor. So we only have the one movie. He has done since then. There have been books about him, and there have been radio shows. We're now going to finally get a real show with him because he's still young enough that he can portray the character. So we're going to get a new Doctor Who, the Eighth Doctor show is going to be on Disney Plus coming soon. So that's a good idea too. Mean Girls, the musical, debuted their first teaser trailer. That's due out on January 12th, 2024. So not much really going on. We get a little bit of Tina Fey action in there, and that's just about it. Get some of the songs, but they're just like, hey, Mean Girls, the musical's coming out. Here's when it's coming out. So there you go. Venom 3, now that the strike is over, is now got a new date as well. It is due out November 8th, 2024. So they're going to start finishing that up as well to get that out in time for that date. So it will be coming out next year too. A prequel to the classic British show Red Dwarf is coming. The original cast will be cameoing only. So it'll be a prequel to the Red Dwarf stuff. So that'd be kind of cool to see that. Chucky is coming to the video game Dead by Daylight on November 28th. So fans of that game will be able to play Chucky in that as well. The Super Mario RPG remake is set now for this upcoming Friday. Will be released this upcoming Friday, November 17th. So it's the second Mario game out this, I think, almost in the last month. It's the second one. So a lot of good Christmas. If you're a Mario fan or have a Mario fan in your family, 2 really good Christmas presents right there are dropping here. Let's see what else. Shore Leave, which was the local science fiction Star Trek convention that's been around since 1973, 50 plus years, and has always been up here in Hunt Valley. Well, the Hunt Valley Hotel, where they have been having it for these past 50 years, is being shut down, and was shut down actually on Halloween. So they need a new place for Shore Leave. So they found one. I announced it last week that they found one. They would give us the reveal this weekend, and they sure did. Shore Leave is now moving to the Lancaster Wyndham Resort and Convention Center up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's a good choice. It's a couple hours from here, but it's still, it's a resort and a convention center, so it's probably going to be much bigger than the one here. So that's going to be good for them. So good on them for finding that. Tickets and all that stuff is going to come for sale here soon. They're still working out the deal for their convention costs. Once they get that done, they'll set the price for the tickets and stuff. So before Christmas shows up, we still have Thanksgiving to go through. And one of the best parts of Thanksgiving dinner that a lot of people like is the stuffing. And so much so that a potato chip company has decided to make turkey stuffing flavored potato chips. Yes. It's not a typical potato chip company you're used to. It's like a local one. So you're probably not going to find it in your usual grocery stores. But there is such a thing as a turkey dressing potato chip out now. Now we're talking to get into Christmas stuff and winter stuff. Mint truffle Hershey's Kisses is the new flavor here. It's a green mint colored flavored Hershey's Kisses coming out here soon. And Reese's, Hershey's, and Kisses have mug cake kits, which is basically where you throw everything into a mug and you are able to make a cake out of it. So you just eat it out of the mug, but it becomes a cake. So those are out now. And Hershey's Peppermint Bark Bells will be out for this holiday season as well. It is now 12:35 a.m. on November 12th. Happy birthday to the glorious and one of my faves now, Anne Hathaway. Happy birthday to her. Yesterday, one of her co-stars in a couple of her movies, two of them that I know off the top of my head, Stanley Tucci, who's a great character actor in his own right. His birthday was yesterday. He turned 63. Ethan Hawke's birthday was earlier this week as well, so happy birthday to him too. Some science stuff now. Massive species of Jurassic lamprey has been unearthed. So massive lampreys are these weird creature, like soul-sucking worm creature things. That's kind of cool. Oxygen has been detected on the planet Venus. Not too surprising. But it's too hot that we wouldn't be able to live there anyway. But if it wasn't that bad, it is basically Earth's twin. It is basically the same size as the Earth and has sort of a similar orbit. So we probably could have lived there as well. In fact, someone did a scientific test where they switched the Earth and Venus, and the Earth would still be habitable for, I think they said, like 90% or 80% of the population. So about 10 to 20% of the population would be killed off due to either heat or whatever, but it is not intolerable. Restorers have uncovered a hidden demon face in a 1789 painting. Must have been really freaked out. You're restoring this painting, and you discover this bizarre, awful, demonic face, just in the background, and it's right there when you see it. You're like, holy shit, what's this? A family is suing makers of Fortnite and Call of Duty for fostering addiction, meaning that they can't get their kids off of Fortnite or Call of Duty. That seems more of a parent issue than a Fortnite and Call of Duty issue. You are the parent. You are the boss. If they are playing the game too much, you have to make boundaries. You're going to have to parent your children. We let my son play video games, maybe a little bit more than we should, but when we tell him to stop, he stops. We tell him to get off, he gets off. He whines and bows about it, but in the end, he does it because we parent him. This is a frivolous lawsuit, absolutely stupid, and they're probably going to win. Flipping from that to a pretty interesting thing I learned today, and I probably should have known this because it happened 15 years ago, but I hadn't done my show 15 years ago, so maybe if I would have done it 15 years ago, I would have talked about it. Remember, I've only done this show for 10 years now. So it takes Saturn about 30 years, 30 Earth years, I guess, to rotate around the sun, I guess. And much like the Earth, it's tilted on its axis slightly, so it has seasons. So for 15 years, it's tilted so that the north is viewed more. You can see more of the north, the tops and the sides of the northern hemisphere of Saturn, and its luxurious rings that way. You can still see the south, but not as much as the south. Then it has an equinox. And then once the equinox is over, another 15 years has it being reverted up to the south. So you see more of the south here. So every 15 years, it sort of has this equinox for about a year or so, where the Saturn's rings disappear because of the way of the orbit of Saturn, much like with the Earth, and the way it's tilted, much like the Earth. When it's this spring equinox, the sun is on top, is shining on top or on the bottom, whatever you want to talk about it. Those are the main seasons, but during the equinox, you cannot see anything because it's coming on it sort of head on. So the rings disappear because they are made of ice and rock that reflects the sunlight. That's what makes the rings so gorgeous, is reflected sunlight. So when the sun isn't shining on it, they disappear. You see the faint outline of it around there, just the outer rim of it. And then you see a massive black shadow that encircles the planet. That's the shadow of the remaining rings. So the last time this happened was in 2009, and it's going to be happening again in 2025. So I know it doesn't quite hit the 15-year thing, but that's how it was described to me. So Saturn's rings will be disappearing in 2025, May of 2025 to be exact. But they will be returning very shortly after that, and we'll be able to focus more on the southern hemisphere of Saturn from telescopes and views from the Earth of the southern view, more the northern view for the next 15 years. And then we'll have another equinox, and then it'll switch back to the north. So that's kind of just a little neat information about that. We had one death this week. DJ Hayden, a former Raiders first round pick, died in a car crash. He was only 33 years old. Sorry about that. Nightmare on Elm Street came out this week, 39 years ago. The Arrival came out 7 years ago this week. And one I have fond memories of, Interview with a Vampire, came out November 11th, 1994. 29 years ago. Now, the reason why I know this is on November 12th, 1994, Saturday, me and my then girlfriend, I'm not going to say her name, went to see the movie because she was a huge vampire fanatic. Our first date-ish kind of thing. We watched Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, and she liked when I really sucked on her neck, but that's besides the point. We're not going to talk about that too much. So she was into that sort of thing. So once this was announced, she wanted to go see it. So two of us did a date night, and we went to see it in the movie theater. And as I said, we saw it on opening weekend. It wasn't the Friday it came out. We did see it the Saturday it came out. So that's what I remember most about. So it was this time 29 years ago that we went on this date. So very cool. All right, next up here. I guess let's. Oh, the continuing with Geeked Week. Ultraman teaser trailer for the animated series on Netflix popped up this week as well. Umbrella Academy's final season, season 4, was announced for 2024 from Netflix as well. Let's see if there's anything else. Fear Street. Netflix is developing a standalone entry in the R.L. Stine franchise. Apparently, there are a number of TV shows and movies based on the Fear Street books. And Netflix, since it has a connection with R.L. Stine, is going to be doing a standalone movie with that. Anything else I can see real quick? Stranger Things final season starts filming next week, David Harbour announced. So they'll be starting to film. That was a huge high priority for Netflix. They want to get the final season of Stranger Things filmed and in the can and done with. So the fact that they're doing that, because they're still going to try to hit their 2025 release date. If they can start it now and get it done, they should be able to hit their 2025 release date. Now, Sean Levy's probably not going to have as much to do with it as he did previously because he's working on Deadpool 3 right now. But we'll see. See if there's anything else that is Geeked Week related. Nope. All right. So we'll continue on then. Jamie Lee Curtis will be producing a documentary about Deborah Hill, who was John Carpenter's wife and was a wonderful producer, produced the Halloween movies, the Clue, the movie Clue, and a whole bunch of other movies before she passed away in late 1980s. So she's been gone for a long time. And I don't think John Carpenter's actually recovered from that. So, but Jamie Lee Curtis will be producing a documentary about her. Plus, once the strike was ended, there was a beautiful picture of her and Lindsay Lohan, with their arms around each other, and a little teasing mention. Jamie Lee Curtis, like, now that we've got this out, and maybe we can get back to getting freaky or something like that, which is the Freaky Friday sequel that's been in the works and talked about with the two of them. I think that's a good indication that both of them want to do it. They just need to, and I think there's film companies that want to do it, so we'll probably be seeing it sooner than later. Inside Out 2, didn't know there was going to be a sequel to Inside Out that Pixar's doing, but there is. The first trailer for it came out. It's due out in June of 2024. It's just a real quick reintroduction to the feelings and emotions, and then the whole feelings and emotions things get steamrolled and reformed, and there's a new leader of the emotions, anxiety, voiced by Maya Hawke. So it's going to be about how the young girl has anxiety now. So we got that. Gladiator 2 is also going to be restarting production here very shortly. It would have been done quicker, except the sets that they've been building have been neglected in the middle of the desert and stuff like that. So they've been deteriorating over the last 100+ days. So they have to refurbish and rebuild the sets before they continue filming on the film. Kevin Costner is reportedly dating Reese Witherspoon. Okay, that's a little weird, but okay. It's about a 30-year age difference, but that's all right. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelcie, I talked about this earlier, had a passionate embrace and kiss after her concert in Argentina. Chiefs are on a bye. Eras tours down there, so he has gone down to be with her for this week. So that's lovely and adorable and cute. Birthday girl Anne Hathaway has a movie hitting December 1st called Eileen. I talked about the trailer, I think, a little bit last week, but just want to remind you that it is out there still. So if you want to check it out, go ahead. Steve Martin has made the news twice. First up, Collier County, Florida has banned Steve Martin's fictional novel Shop Girl. And Steve Martin posted something on Facebook or whatever, like applauding that they did that because that means it's going to get a lot more sales of people who want to read it than them being able to just check it out of the library and then return it. They'll have to actually buy it. So that was kind of funny. Plus, we also know that Spamalot, the Monty Python, the Holy Grail musical created by Eric Idle, is getting a revival on Broadway. The cast has been announced. They've been in rehearsals. It's going to hit Broadway in early 2024. And Eric Idle revealed on Saturday that Steve Martin, just talked about him, will be the voice of God in Spamalot. Now, if you haven't seen Spamalot, there is a bit where Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table have a few discussions with God. And it was usually John Cleese's voice on the original Broadway, and the touring group, it was John Cleese's voice, but they have decided to go with Steve Martin. Now, he's not there, obviously. He recorded the voiceover, and they'll just play it and have the characters interact with each other in that way. So I think that's kind of cool that he did that, because he's been friends with them for a long time, too. A24 keeps doing all kinds of crazy stuff. There's a new A24 horror movie called Opus, which is going to star Amber Midthunder, who was in Prey, John Malkovich, and Juliette Lewis. And we don't know much about it, but the all that they've told us about is that an iconic pop star returns after a decades long disappearance. And The Dream and Nile Rodgers are going to be writing songs for the film. So that's all we know about that. That's going to be in production here real soon. I talked about how Deadpool 3 is going back to production like literally this week. Well, Ryan Reynolds revealed that Dogpool will be a part of it and showed pictures of Dogpool, dog dressed up as Deadpool, who will be part of the movie. So we know that for sure. Sony has a deal with Netflix. So they'll be releasing all their movies through Netflix, including the Venom movies, the Amazing Spider-Man. They've all pretty much gotten on Netflix right now. But any other new Sony movies that are rolling out there will appear on Netflix eventually through streaming. The Spider-Verse sequel came out on Halloween on Netflix. It's on Netflix now. And Super Mario Brothers, the huge popular movie that came out in spring of this year, will hit Netflix in December. So if you have not seen it yet, it will be there. Speaking of video game movies, a live-action Legend of Zelda movie was announced this week. And once it was announced, nothing's been said in stone. They just literally announced it, but the first thing people talked about was they believe that Walker Scobell, who will be playing Percy Jackson in next month's Percy Jackson TV show on Disney+, would be perfect for the role of Link. Now, that's one take on it also, and he does look the part. But they've also done fan photos of Tom Holland as Link as well, and that looks pretty good too. So we'll see which way they go. I think it's a bad idea, though, to do live action. I think an animated film will be better because you can do so much more in the animated version and bring the world of Hyrule to life a lot better in an animated version than a live action one. But what do I know? Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks are huge World War II fanatics, and they've produced a number of miniseries for HBO, including Band of Brothers is the most famous one, but there's been a few other ones they've done. Well, their newest one, Masters of Air, is set to debut on January 26th on Max, and it will be starring Austin Butler and Barry Keoghan are the big stars of it, but the first sort of teaser trailer for it came out this week. I talked about this show a while back, but now it's starting to really come forward now. Now, we all know about Thanksgiving, but we also all know about Black Friday also. And this Black Friday, Lego will be releasing a massive Avengers Tower Lego set based on the Avengers Tower from the first Avengers movie. And it will have 31 minifigures attached to this Avengers Tower. So that's kind of cool to see that. Starbucks has a secret Santa Claus Frappuccino on its secret menu. So if you want a Santa Claus thing, you have to ask for it from the secret menu. The Beatles, Now and Then, their new album, their new song that came out last week, has hit #1 in the UK, pretty much as expected. Astronomers have directly discovered a new exoplanet that's cloudy, that has the mass of Jupiter. And the way they discovered it is not your typical way that they've been finding exoplanets, but it is an easier way of doing it, and they're going to be using it more often now. Out of Darkness is a Stone Age horror film set for a February debut. So whenever you see like a caveman horror film, we haven't really seen much about those. So that'd be kind of cool to see that. The show Spartacus, which was fairly popular in the late 90s, I guess early 2000s, due to its graphic sexuality, is coming back in a new series called House of Asher. Dr. Pepper has their own website where they release special flavors of Dr. Pepper, and it's the only place you can get them. They will not release them out in stores. You have to be a member in order to get it. Well, their newest one is set to be released soon. It's called Hot Take. So I'm assuming it's going to be like a hot flavored Dr. Pepper, sort of similar to the hot flavored Mountain Dew, which was absolutely awful, by the way. Some local news, Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman have won Silver Slugger Awards for the Baltimore Orioles, which is kind of a big deal. And also, Baltimore will be hosting an Inner Harbor swimming event in 2024 after fixing the sewage overflow issue that the harbor had been having. So over the last couple years or so, they've been cleaning the harbor enough that dolphins have actually been spotted in the harbor before. So they've been cleaning out the sewage overflow. They've been cleaning out all the trash that gets dumped in there from the harbor place and people on their boats and stuff like that. It's all been cleaned out. And so it's been getting a lot better and a lot nicer. And it's not as disgusting as it used to be. So now, because it is doing so well, they have decided to do a swimming event where people will actually have to be swimming in the Inner Harbor for this event in 2024. So that'll be to be continued to see if that's actually going to work. LeBron James is opening up a museum to himself. Yeah, not really any different than, people putting up stuff for themselves as well. But yeah, whatever. It's just whatever. Don't really have much to say about that. The volcanic devil comet racing to Earth. It's resprouting its horns. It is a volcano. It is a comet that has a volcano on it, and it erupted and created horns on the comet that eventually were disintegrated due to its passage through our solar system. But it erupted. The comet erupted again, and the horns have reformed again. There is no danger of this comet hitting the Earth. It's just kind of a scary little story in there. Now, one of the worst things that Warner Brothers has done is they greenlit a Batgirl movie that was going to star a Latina Batgirl. It was also going to have Michael Keaton in his first full role as Batman. He was in the Flash movie, yes, but this is going to be his first after Flash sort of movie. J.K. Simmons was going to play James Gordon from the previous shitty Snyder Bros movies. And Brendan Fraser was going to be the bad guy, Firefly. And I think one of the main characters was also a transgender, because they were basing it on a comic book series that had she had a transgender roommate, and she's Latina. So of course the racist Warner Brothers execs, after it was like 90% finished, decided to shelve the movie, saying it is never going to be released. We watched it; it's a piece of shit. And they had to reshoot The Flash to not include Michael Keaton, and made the big reveal be that George Clooney is now the new Batman. Whatever. It doesn't matter, because the Flash is not going to be existing anymore anyway either. but they shelved this movie, and I think that's crazy to have it Michael Keaton as Batman, Brendan Fraser as the bad guy, J.K. Simmons in it, and a really good Batgirl and a transgender character. I think it would have done really successful, but because Warner Brothers execs have no idea about anything, they shelved it. And also the only thing they know about is money. So they shelved it and took the tax break from it. So they got money back from taxes. Sounds illegal, but it isn't. Well, they did it again. John Cena's Coyote versus Acme live action animated film that was going to star the Coyote and Roadrunner from the Warner Brothers cartoons was done. Only cost $30 million to make, and was getting some good, views from people who've seen it. Not going to see it now. They shelved it. This was after the SAG-AFTRA strike happened. So after it was resolved. So there was no reason for them to shelve it. John Cena be able to promote it. And it might actually have made, it was only $30 million, so it might have actually made his money back. But they decided to shelve it and take the tax break again. And yet they greenlit and released the shitty $300 million Flash movie, which did absolutely shit, did nothing. And they took it out on these two films that actually might have made some money, were low budget enough. I hate this world now. Anniversary 90 years ago this week, the first ever photographic evidence of Nessie was released. Now, it's not the famous Nessie picture of the neck and stuff like that. This was the flipper picture, which is a little bit more telling than the neck one, because that one was turned out to be a fake picture. But this flipper one was a picture of a flipper underwater that was massive, and it was splashing the water. So it wasn't, and this is 90 years ago. So we're talking like 1903, something like that. No, that would be 1913, I should say. Or is it 1923, 1933? It'd be 1933. Yes, 1933, excuse me. So 1933. And it was a flipper picture. It was pretty fan. That's 90 years old this week as well. Still got 2 full pages to go, and it's hour 19 minutes in, and it's 1 a.m. Dennis Villanueva, Dune 2, The Arrival, which I talked about earlier, and other movies as well, has set his next film, supposedly. He's rumored to be doing a Cleopatra movie with Zendaya. Now, I don't know what that means for the Gal Gadot Cleopatra movie that was being worked on with her director from Wonder Woman. So we'll see if that's going to be another case where they're going to release 2 of the same movie at the same time. For Geeked Week, Arcane Season 2 gets a November 2024 release, 1 year from now. The Sandman, Abbott Elementary, Night Court, Young Sheldon all restart production, so they'll be coming to you sooner than later. Edgar Wright is rumored to be directing the Barbarella remake with the amazingly luscious, and also in my new top 10 list of celebrity crushes, Sydney Sweeney, the luscious Sydney Sweeney. A woman was videotaped a bear opening the door to her house, trying to sneak into the house, and she tells the bear to close the door and leave. And the bear did, and it hit 1.5 million views. John Wick anime is in the works. That actually makes a lot of sense. You can do a lot more with that, considering how John Wick 4 ended. You could still do that, and Keanu's always a big fan of that type of stuff, so get him to do the voice of it. And you can do some even more crazy. You could do it when John Wick was a actual hitman. It could be a prequel series to sort of and make it bloody and violent as you want, and it's animated, so it's cool. Beetlejuice 2 and Juror Number 2, Clint Eastwood's final film, both are getting back to work ASAP. So again, hopefully that means we'll be seeing both of those probably in 2024. I would love to see Beetlejuice 2, particularly in fall of 2024. One thing that did not make it here, but I did see, and for some reason I didn't make a copy of it, Netflix also posted a poster of Wednesday and said 2024 also. Jenna Ortega is now producing this, is now a producer on the show. She has got a bunch of ideas. I think the script's already written, and so she's going to want to start working on that as soon as possible also. So Wednesday is probably also one of those shows now that is going to be getting the start of production ASAP. It's good to see Sandman is getting back in there too, because that was great. The first season was great for that. So Netflix is moving right along here. The Alien TV show will be dropping in 2025 because they still got some stuff they got to deal with and still film some more stuff, I think. The world's newest island was formed this week in a Japanese archipelago. It's nothing unusual. Islands are formed all the time due to volcanic activity. Ireland will be launching its first satellite into space. My God, this month. Didn't know Ireland didn't have a space program. Now they do. So fantastic to Ireland for doing that. It's a good job that they can get that into space. It's going to be released this month, which is good. The Norwegian blue cheese wins the prestigious World Cheese Award. I just thought it was kind of a neat idea. A leak announced that Shrek 5 will be released in 2025. So we didn't know there was a Shrek 5, but now we do. Leonardo DiCaprio is also being attached to Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, and it's amazing that DiCaprio has not worked with that director yet, but that should be a pretty interesting thing. So we'll see what happens. DeWanda Wise is in talks to lead the Blumhouse film Imaginary. Judd Apatow still wants to make a sequel to This Is 40 called This Is 50 with Paul Rudd. Godzilla Minus One breaks Japanese box office records that will be released in the United States December 1st. White chocolate toasty vanilla M&Ms have been released as well this week. Starbucks Red Velvet holiday drink is out now. Pokemon Go Fest, which is 3 or 4 different cities around the world, hosts this weekend-long fest. The various Pokemon Go Fests have generated $300 million in income for these different cities combined. Altogether, $300 million was added to the economies of these cities thanks to Pokemon Go Fest, which is pretty damn good. Bad movie time. Snake Hotel is a new bad movie thing that I kind of want to see, but not as much as I want to see Werewolf Santa, which is a real movie out that I kind of want to see. And I just got a bunch of really wild stories here remaining. So let's start at the top here. Actually, I should say at the bottom. A woolly rhino genome was recovered from fossilized hyena poop. So the genome is the type of thing where you can Jurassic Park it and recreate it, but it was discovered in fossilized hyena poop, which means a hyena ate a woolly mammoth, or woolly rhino, excuse me. And the genome is in its excrement that was fossilized. Okay. Robot misidentifies its repairman as a cardboard box and kills him. Not an Onion story, a real story. Not much is being said about it, but that's insane. Man claims to have drank 8 bottles of Dom Perignon over a 32-hour flight that included 3 connecting flights from Los Angeles to Bangkok. So people are still trying to figure that out, see if he actually did that. 8 bottles of Dom Perignon. Dom Perignon, for those who don't know, is one of the most expensive champagnes out there. And to drink 8 bottles of it over a 32-hour period is freaking insane. All by yourself, too. Florida man. Actually, it's not Florida man. It's Florida. In a secondhand shop. A shopper looking for Halloween, I guess, decorations, discovered a skull. It's like, oh, it's kind of cool. But there was something different about the skull. So they actually had it looked at a local college. They said, this ain't a fake skull. This is a real human skull. So someone gave the secondhand store a real human skull to sell. Only in Florida, man. Only in Florida. And now probably the weirdest story of the week. Jared Leto. Bizarre little method actor guy. Good singer. Jared Leto is the first person ever to scale New York's iconic Empire State Building to completion. Jared Leto, actor, musician, climbed the Empire State Building on the outside from the bottom to the top. Jared Leto climbed the Empire State Building from the outside. What the absolute fuck? Now, it's a really cool idea. I mean, people do that sort of stuff all the time. But for it to be Jared Leto to do that, I thought it'd be some like unknown person. Jared Leto, a musician, an actor, climbed the Empire State Building by himself on the outside, like Spider-Man. Seriously, this is not a joke. This is not an Onion story. This really freaking happened. first person ever in history to climb on the outside of the Empire State Building to the top. Apparently, there was a number of people who did it and might not have gone as far as he did, but Jared Leto did it. Jared fucking Leto. Morbid time. 30 Seconds to Mars. It's the weirdest story in the world. But to be fair, congratulations, man. That's fucking incredible. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just in awe and shock that you actually just decided one day, I'm going to fucking climb the Empire State Building for no other reason than just to do it. He wasn't doing it for a movie, wasn't doing it for promotion's sake, wasn't doing it, on a bet, anything like that. He did it because he fucking wanted to. It's absolutely insane, but it's so cool though. So very good job, Jared Leto. I'll give you props and cred there, man. That is outstanding. You are the first person ever to climb from the bottom to the top. And remember, at one time, this is how impressive it is. At one time, the Empire State Building was the tallest building in the fucking world. And he climbed it on the outside without any help. Fucking insane, man. So good job on that, Jared Leto. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that he did that. I'm still in awe and shocked by that. Anniversaries here. No Country for Old Men, 16 years ago this week. Skyfall, 11 years ago this week. Starship Troopers, 26 years ago this week. The animated Robin Hood movie, where Robin Hood is a fox, debuted 50 years ago, 1973, November 1973. 8 Mile with Eminem debuted 21 years ago this week. And one of my favorite movies of all time, Time Bandits, debuted 1981, so 81, 91, 2001, 2021. No, sorry, it has to be more than that, 40, 81, 91, 2001, 2011, 2021, 42 years ago. Jared Leto climbed the fucking Empire State Building by himself from the bottom to the top. I'm fucking impressed by that shit. The Brother Son trailer from Netflix starring Michelle Yeoh debuted its first trailer, and it looks action-packed, looks outstanding, looks like another winner for Michelle Yeoh. Letterkenny will be ending with season 12 in December. Home Depot has holiday dog statues now in every breed. So if you don't have a dog, or you have a dog but you just want a statue of the dog wearing Christmas stuff, you can now get it at Home Depot. The Bear has been renewed for season 3. The Highlander reboot with what's his face, Superman from the Snyderverse era, and The Witcher, Henry Cavill, will be featuring Queen music like the original Highlander movie was. So I guess it's interesting. Huey Lewis. It's Huey Lewis has written a rom-com Broadway musical called The Heart of Rock and Roll. The Heart of Rock and Roll is a rom-com. That makes a lot of sense. It has found a stage on Broadway. So Heart of Rock and Roll, Huey Lewis's Broadway show is going to be officially a Broadway show coming out this spring. So good on that to you, Huey Lewis. Chapel Wait season 2 will not be happening. Don't know much about Chapel Wait, but I figure I'll let that know from people who might. Apple Plus TV is developing its original Peanuts animated feature based with Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and all that. Where was the other Apple Plus story? Oh, yeah. And the Velveteen Rabbit trailer, Apple Plus's holiday film, due out on November 22nd. Live action, stop motion, animated, is due out on the 22nd of November. The trailer came out for it. It's really kind of cool. For those who know, you probably read The Velveteen Rabbit when you were little. It's about a little boy who best friend is a stuffed rabbit, and then somehow the stuffed rabbit comes to life, but he can't be alive in front of his kid or whatever. It's one of those weird things. But the trailer has the live action part done like a live action film. And then when the Velveteen Rabbit is talking and interacting with other animals and stuffed animals, stuff like that, it's stop motion. And then there was a sequence in the trailer, which is when the boy is dreaming about playing with the Velveteen Rabbit. It is done in an animated style, typical hand-drawn sort of animated stuff. It looks really cool. Again, it's on Apple Plus. So I don't have it, but it is a good holiday film for those who do have it. The Velveteen Rabbit will be out the day before Thanksgiving on the 22nd of November. Reacher Season 2 trailer came out this week. So fans of Reacher, you'll be able to see Season 2 come up here. The Longest Yard to get another remake. Adam Sandler already remade it, but now they're doing another one. So yippee. Heinz ketchup creates a pickle-flavored ketchup. Sounds absolutely disgusting to me, but I'm not a pickle fan, despite my name being Dill Pickle. Scientists discover a record-breaking 13.2 billion-year-old black hole. 13.2 billion-year-old black hole, which means black holes have been happening since right after the universe was created. World War II veteran is writing children's books at the age of 101. You go, guy. You live your life. True Detective writer and creator, showrunner, I guess, Nick Pizzolatto will be doing a Blumhouse horror film. We'll be writing a Blumhouse horror film, I should say. Geeked Week also announced that Enola Holmes 3 with Millie Bobby Brown is in the works, and also Henry Cavill as well. And also that Greta Gerwig's Narnia reboot is set to start filming in 2024 as well. I think it's Netflix. It could be Amazon Prime. But Greta Gerwig, who hit it big with Barbie this summer, is going to be doing the Chronicles of Narnia reboot. So there you go. So I had that as well. For fans of Stephen King, now one of my favorite things about Stephen King is I like his novels, but my favorite stuff was always his short story collections, and I always used to love reading his short story collections. Now, I haven't been reading as much Stephen King as I used to when I was little, but he does have a new short story collection coming out here, I think early next year, called You Like It Darker, and it's reason why I'm mentioning it is because normally I wouldn't mention something like that because fans of Stephen King already know that he's got one out here. But the big thing about this short story collection is it has the sequel to Cujo in it. It's called Rattlesnakes. So a sequel to Cujo has been written. It's a short story, and it's going to be in this collection, You Like It Darker. Due out next year, I believe. Let me see if I can get an actual date on it. It should be up on Amazon right now. Let's just see if it is. You Like It Darker, Stephen King. Is due out May 21st, 2024. You got a little bit of ways to go before it comes out, but it will be out here next year, May 2024. So there you go. But it does have the sequel to Cujo in it. So it might be worth it just to buy. I might be worth it for me to buy that because I haven't bought a Stephen King novel in a while. But that one might be a good one to pick up. There's some sports ball stuff that I have to mention. It is now officially Sunday. The Ravens will be playing in 12 hours against the Cleveland Browns in a big divisional game, which I'll be watching front and center in 12 hours. But the interesting thing that we're midway of the season right now, and it's not going to happen because we still have a whole half of the season to go. But if the NFL playoffs started today, because of the new format that was introduced a couple years ago, which added a third wild card game, if the playoffs started today, before the games that are happening today, if it started like this second with what all the teams with their records and how they are now, the Baltimore Ravens division, the AFC North, all four teams would be in the playoffs, which is unheard of. Now, obviously, it's something that could never been done before because they did not have that third wild card spot. But now that they do, you might see this a little bit more often than you think. But right now, this is the first time ever that could possibly happen. Is that going to sustain? Who knows? As I said, we're only halfway through the season right now. A lot can change in the second half of the season. But right now, the Ravens would be the number 2 seed, and the Steelers, Bengals, and actually it'd be Steelers. No, it'd be the Browns, Steelers, Bengals would be the 3 wild card teams. It's crazy and it's interesting, and it's just something I thought I'd be mentioning. Also, a little sports ball commentary. Also, American Horror Story, and then the same creators did American Crime Story, where they did the Menendez brothers, and then they did the O.J. Simpson trial, stuff like that. Well, they now have one called American Sports Stories, which is going to be a series on FX, like 6 to 10 episodes. And it's going to focus on Aaron Hernandez, who was a player who turned out had a secret life. He played football, yes, but he was also a contract killer, killed a bunch of people, and then eventually was arrested and thrown in jail where he committed suicide. They're going to be making a limited series about that under the heading of American Sports Story. Patrick Schwarzenegger, Arnold's, I hate to use this term, but it's the proper term for an illegitimate son that he had with the maid, and is not the one he had with his wife, Maria. Patrick Schwarzenegger, who is apparently in Gen V, which I didn't know, the Boys spinoff. He's in that. He will be starring as Tim Tebow. That's interesting. And then Josh Andreas Rivera will be playing Aaron Hernandez. So it'll be a series about that because Tim Tebow played with Aaron Hernandez in college. They were on different teams in the NFL, but they still did play together in college. So that's why he's been in there as well. And that's interesting because it's Schwarzenegger's illegitimate son. So again, I hate using that term, but it's the proper term for it. Days after the new season of Fortnite debuted last week, I talked about already. It's they're bringing back the Chapter 1 map, which all the OG players have been screaming for. And honestly, it's been okay, but it's been a really boring season for me. And it's okay and it's entertaining and all that, but I always hate that they're going backwards instead of going forwards. They're going back to the nostalgia time when they should be improving the game and moving it forward and creating new stuff and new memories and not going backwards. Regardless, it has become a huge hit for Fortnite. In fact, the Saturday after it debuted on a Friday the 3rd of November, I guess. Would be 3rd, right? 3rd, yeah, the 10th, yeah. 3rd of November was when it debuted. November 4th, which was the first day that I played it, was a record-breaking day for Fortnite. Where's that number? 44.7 million people played Fortnite that Saturday after it debuted, with 102 million hours of play when you count all those people, meaning that the 44.7 million people played the game more than 2 hours. That's insane numbers, and that just made me cringe because now Epic is going to take a look at that and say, hey, we should do that more often because we're getting all these players, ones who quit after they hated how it changed and all that stuff and didn't want to play anymore, are now coming back and trying to remember all the stuff and dominate like they did before. But all of us who've been playing since then, we prefer the better graphics, the the gorgeous sound effects, the new weapons, the collaborations, the new gameplay, the new locations, the new. It's a great game, and they want to revert back to this crappy old style game, and the POIs are shitty. They're not pristine, they're not gorgeous, but that's the way it was in the original game. The place is filled with these OG sweats who they just want to dominate everybody. So they're much tougher to play against than the people who are just playing randomly during the new season. So it kind of pissed me off about that. But Epic is now going to see this and go, oh, we should do this more often. And I'm kind of pissed about that. To be fair, though, the new season the new chapter does start in December, which is going to go back to the Unreal Engine and to be the realistic stuff and stuff like that. This is just sort of a hiccup here and there. So hopefully that would be better. Iceland has declared a state of emergency and has mandatory evacuations of the city of Grindavik and the Svartsengi power station due to a volcanic eruption they believe is imminent due to the fact that over 1,000 earthquakes have been recorded in a 24-hour period. They've continued into Saturday, but no volcano has erupted yet, but it is only a matter of time before that happens, and it's going to be in that general area. So we'll be aware of that. Now, we all know Iceland is a volcanically active thing, so it's not a big surprise this is happening, but it's still kind of interesting that one is going to happen here. A green slime / sludge has been oozing onto the city streets of New York City. Been caught on film and nobody really knows what it's about. So that's kind of creepy and weird. And that's it for the story set for the last one I'm going to do. So now we're going to do some anniversaries and one death. Pat E. Jackson, the Karate Kid choreographer and trainer, died at the age of 84. This week. Anniversaries, Passenger 57, the Wesley Snipes action film, is 31 years old this week. The Waterboy, the Adam Sandler film, is 25 years old this week. The Incredibles, the great Pixar superhero movie, is 19 years old this week. They Live, the great John Carpenter film, alien film, debuted in 1988, so 88, 98, 2008, 2018, 35 years ago this week. 45 years ago this week, WKRP in Cincinnati released their Thanksgiving episode, which is the infamous and iconic turkey drop episode. If you do not know about the turkey drop episode, I'm not going to tell you about it. You need to find it on your own. It is a classic. WKRP in Cincinnati was a classic sitcom from the early 80s set in a radio station that was going from country music to rock and roll. And it followed the crew that worked at the radio station. It's a great idea for a sitcom. It was successful, lasted about 4 or 5 years. Brought the world Lonnie Anderson and Howard Hessman. So they were big stars, the biggest stars that come out of that. The Turkey Drop episode is one of the iconic, most classic episodes of television ever. If they ever do 100 best episodes of TV ever, this one is always on the list. It is a classic, iconic episode, and it debuted 45 years ago this week. Finally, this should have been the Jared Leto story. For those who just joined us, I did a story earlier about how Jared Leto climbed the Empire State Building by himself from the bottom to the top on the outside for no other reason than I just wanted to fucking do it. That's an amazing story to me. I think that's outstanding that he did that, and it's great, and it's cool that he wanted to do that. That should have been the last story of the week, but then I got this one. Millionaire biohacker Brian Johnson, of all names, who's 46 years old, claims that he has reverse aged his penis 15 years. So now he has a 31-year-old penis now with him being 46 years old. How do you fucking reverse age your penis? It doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's a true story. Again, not an Onion story. Reverse age your penis? How the fuck do you do that? 15 years. Why 15 years? Why don't you do it 20 years? When you were, 26 years old. Probably getting a lot of pussy, right? reverse aging your penis. Well, that's it for this week. Next week's episode, my wife and son will be camping. My daughter will not, so she will be here. We'll probably be doing a movie marathon here and there, but she will be doing a early Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, more dinner with her camp buddies on the next Saturday. But yeah, this week coming up. Again, I said last week I didn't think a lot was going to happen this week, and I was wrong. But again, I'm going to say this week, really nothing big coming up. The Ravens are going to play Thursday night and Sunday night, 2 major games. My nephew's birthday is on Saturday. My sister and brother-in-law's 30th wedding anniversary isn't until the 20th, so I can talk about that on my next show. But yeah, I can't think of anything else that's coming out this week. Major. The Marvels already came out. Go see the Marvels, by the way. Go see the fucking Marvels. If you have not, go out and see the Marvels. I gave a spoiler review of it earlier in the show. It is absolutely worth it. Just go out. It's an hour, 45 minutes out of your day. It's a fun film. It's just something to just get away from all the shit that's going on in the world right now. Just go out there and enjoy it and ignore all the noise from all the misogynistic, racist pieces of shit that write articles about how awful it is and how awful the actors and actresses are, and that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going down the toilet. Fuck them. Fuck the noise. Go see the movie. Decide for yourself. Other than that, I can't think of anything else that's going on this week. Probably missing something, but I can't think of it right now. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say right now. So thank you for watching. Thank you for doing a great job. I mean, getting 100 subscribers is outstanding. And then earlier this week, my last week's episode only had 6 views. I checked it again yesterday, 19 views. So 13 people watched over a span of about 2 or 3 days. That's outstanding. So thank you guys for watching and keeping up with this. I hope you enjoy this episode. We'll see what this upcoming week brings. It's the week before Thanksgiving. And the week before my wife goes on a 2-week vacation. Well, she's going to stay home, obviously, but she's not going anywhere without me. But be nice for her to do that. And I'll have a 4-day weekend coming up soon. And my mom's coming out for Thanksgiving, which is great. And the Democrats, the Democratic way of life seems to be proving that is what people want after the disastrous election day that the GOP had. The SAG-AFTRA strike is over. So there's a lot to be thankful for. But the biggest and best thing to be thankful for is knowing that Jared Leto is the only human being ever to climb the Empire State Building from the bottom to the top on the outside without any help. You go, Jared.